Hey everybody, my name is James. I'm here to bring you some inspiration this morning. And I'm going to be reading out of 1 Samuel chapter 17. If you're familiar with David's story, David was a shepherd boy who was anointed by the prophet Samuel to become king. And eventually he ends up becoming king and becoming the succession to Saul. But really in the passage in the area that I want to focus in on today is really the in-between. It's the in-between of the moment where he has been called to be king, and really he is going to fight Goliath. He just doesn't know it yet. And so in 1 Samuel chapter 17, starting in verse 17, is where I want to share with you just this big idea, this big thought that I had this week. And it says this: one day, Jesse said to David, "Take this basket of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread and carry them quickly to your brother, and give them 10 cuts of cheese to their captains. See how your brothers are getting along, and bring back that report of how they are doing." So David's brothers were with Saul and the Israelites' army in the valley fighting against the Philistines. So David left the sheep with another shepherd and set out early the next morning with the gifts as Jesse had directed him. I want to just stop there because I think that there's a couple of big ideas that I want to share with you. And the first one is this. The way that it starts out is it says, one day. You know, we never really know when we're going to step into our calling or really see the fullness of our purpose. But, you know, for David fighting Goliath was really the stepping stone after the anointing inauguration of him becoming king. This moment of him being faithful in this task to take this cheese and this bread to his brothers was really the first step of obedience that really paved the way to him hearing Goliath and then confronting Goliath and then fighting Goliath and then killing Goliath and then eventually becoming king. It really started out with a one day type of a moment. And I guess I want to say this is that I think a lot of us are waiting for our day, our moment. We're waiting for a big opportunity where we're going to step into our calling. But for David and for 99% of us, it's really going to be just our average mundane moment, average mundane day. It's going to be just one day. One day Jesse told David, he said, "Hey, I want you to take this bread. I want you to take this cheese to your brothers. I want you to go serve your brothers." Now, I want you to just think about David for a minute. David was anointed to be king by the prophet Samuel, which was a very big deal. In just the previous chapter, David humbly had gone back to being a shepherd in the field, taking care of the sheep. And I just love how it says that, you know, Jesse told David, "Go and serve your older brothers. Go and take some cheese and some bread to them and bring back a report from me." And it says that David didn't argue with his dad. David didn't put it off. It says the next day, David set out with the bread and the cheese. I want you to think about this. David could have ate the cheese. David could have ate the bread. David could have talked back to his father, but it said David was faithful with the little. And I guess that's the idea that I want to share with you this morning is this. Will you be faithful with the little things? Because we never really know when one day we might step into something bigger. And really the reality is this, is that David was faithful with the little thing. And that was the doorway to where he overheard Goliath and eventually became king. It started with something small. And I want to share with you this. Never think that serving other people is beneath you. No matter how small the task is, just be faithful. Be faithful with bringing some bread. Be faithful with bringing some cheese. Be faithful with showing up to help your neighbor move. Be faithful with setting up chairs. Or if you come to our patio service at 9 a.m., picking up those chairs and putting them on the rollers and then bringing them inside. You know, be faithful with if somebody says, "Hey, do you want to join or help lead this Bible study?" Do it. You know, if somebody says, "Hey, I want you to help me print, you know, sheets for the worship team," do it. If there's a way for you to serve, if there's a way for you to play tag, you're it. Do it. Don't look for just the big opportunities to serve, where it would put you in a position where people see you, but be faithful to carry the bread and the cheese for your brothers and sisters. You know, if you know a little bit about my story, a few years back, before I was ever here at Centerpoint, I was looking for a group of people to study the Bible with. And when I couldn't find anywhere with people my own age, I just felt a need to start it. And so I did. I took the initiative, and this was kind of my bread and cheese type of moment, was that I just started meeting every single Saturday at Starbucks for 3 years. I met there at 9 a.m. and I opened it up to anybody that wanted to come. But keep in mind that I didn't have a degree. I didn't have, the credentials. I didn't even really know what I was doing. And I just had a Bible study, and that Bible study, sometimes there'd be 10 people, sometimes there'd be one person that showed up, sometimes, and actually quite a few times, there'd be nobody that would show up. And instead of getting discouraged, I just stayed in the Word. I dove into it, and I just read it. And sometimes I'd stay there all day, and I would just read the Bible on a Saturday. And I don't know if you realize this, but it is hard to get a group of young adults up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning frequently. But that was sort of my bread and cheese moment. That was me being faithful with the little. I had no idea that one day that would turn into what I get to do every week, and what I get to do almost on an everyday basis, which is read the Word, share the scriptures with people. And I just want to share that with you, is that it was a one day type of moment where I just stepped into this bread and cheese moment where I just started a Bible study. And even if nobody showed up, even if I felt like I shouldn't be doing it, I kept doing it. And God saw that I was faithful with the little. God saw my heart. God saw that I was a willing vessel to do it. And that's what happened with me. So I don't know what your bread and cheese type of moment is, but I do know this, is that there's always a need for people to serve. And there's always a need for you to get involved. Just step out. Play tag, you're it. Get involved in Centerpoint Church or in your local church, whoever is watching this video. Find a place to serve. Don't just look for the platform, big scene opportunities to serve, but see if there's people who need you to carry bread and cheese, and do it. You never know when you might just step into a greater purpose and a bigger call. So God bless you guys. Thank you.